Every journey has an inspiring story behind it, and Effortless Conversations uncovers how that journey has helped our people thrive. Let's get started.
You hardly ever heard as a little kid going, do you want to be a doctor, a fireman, a teacher, or a mortgage consultant? You know, that's usually not in the mix of things. When I was little, I wanted to be a veterinarian because I absolutely love animals. And if you heard that in the background, that's 5 dogs. Or an artist. Those were my 2 great deal things as a little kid. What happened was I started working at a small advertising agency, designing T-shirts and things like that, screen printing, that type of thing, logo design and that kind of thing. And when I was 24, I was walking across the street and got hit by a car. So had a concussion, had a couple things that kept me out of work for a little bit of time. When I went to go back to work, I reevaluated, is this something I really want to do for the rest of my life? Do I want to keep doing cool, funky T-shirt designs and, you know, that type of thing? Or is there something else I wanted to do? I really liked real estate, so I decided I would get licensed in real estate. So I went to the real estate courses, and during the finance piece of the real estate course, the person teaching that took me aside after the course and said, you are not a realtor. What you are is a loan originator. You get the math, you're a math geek, you love the puzzle, you need to be in that space. I took her advice, I interviewed with a couple of people, and started in the industry at 24. And it happened to be in 1989, so we didn't even have credit scores yet. Like, it took 3 days to get a credit report, and they'd fax it over on that thermal paper that if it was jammed or anything, you had to wait another 3 days. And then you actually had to make tally marks and try and kind of keep up as to how many installment loans did they have? How many credit cards did they have? How many mortgages? Were they ever late? It was crazy.
That's crazy. So you said you have a ton of experience.
Oh, yeah.
So you've seen it grow into like a beast, what it is kind of now.
Oh, exactly.
Talk a little bit about, like, what have you seen kind of over the years? What have you learned? How has the industry changed? I love like stories like that. Like, you know, getting a credit report took like 3 days or whatever, and it was through the mail, and there was no such thing as like a credit score. Right. Talk a little bit about like that change and where the industry is now.
So it was funny, when I started, we actually had 1003s that we had to type. And if you messed anything up, you couldn't use whiteout. So you had to start the whole 1003 again with a typewriter. That was, you know, difficult at best, of course, because times it would take you an hour and a half to complete one 1003 just because you made a mistake on page 3. And it was kind of, back then, it was almost like, I feel like it's evolved almost back to that at Princeton, which is cool. Not the 1003 part. Back then, it was kind of like, make sense of the loan. Do these people pay their bills on time? Have they been at their job? Do they have some type of savings? Basically, can they afford this loan? And will they pay it? And your underwriting decision was basically made based on that. You know, then, of course, we went through the Ninas, the Cisas, and the Santa Marias, where you just had to be fogging a mirror and have a 740 FICO score to get a loan. Made no sense. Mortgage meltdown ensued. Then we went the complete opposite tact, right? It doesn't matter that these people have been on their job for 20 years. It doesn't matter that they have a great credit score. What matters is they just deposited $10,000 in their bank account. And so now we're going to be, you know, finding out exactly where that came from. And kind of putting people sort of through a real crazy mill to get a loan, you know? So then 07 and 08, that was that. We've now evolved back, I think, especially at Princeton, of, does this loan make sense? Can we approve it? Which is great, because that's where we really should be. Of course, we have guidelines. That being said, I feel that Princeton does the best that they can possibly do in making sense of those guidelines and also evaluating the risk of the buyer.
So do you think that, like, it's Princeton that's doing this and it's maybe different than everybody else, or is it like that's a trend in the market, or like how things are going?
I think the market would like to be like that, But I think oftentimes what happens is, I just had a client call me Tuesday, was referred to me from a builder. The builder called me, told me the situation. They had just gotten declined by the lender that they applied with. So the girl calls me, they're building this new house. She's in tears. She explains the situation to me. What happened was the lender, she had $100,000 to work with for a down payment closing costs. The lender took that whole $100,000 and was going to use $95,000 of it for the down payment. Her ratios didn't work. If we simply restructured it and had her put 20% down on the purchase, take $17,000, pay off her $361 a month car loan with that $17,000, she came into the transaction now with a total of $70,000, including paying off her car loan, and her ratios are golden. So nobody just, I guess what it boils down to is we need to still think. Like, it's great that there's technology and it's great there's DU and LP and everything else, but we actually need to think. And I feel that Princeton thinks better than most. And they encourage you to think.
So that kind of like leads me to the next question.
Welcome to Effortless Conversations, the Princeton Mortgage podcast highlighting what makes our company and the housing industry so great: the people. At Princeton Mortgage, we are a team of motivated people who are driven to achieve excellence in our work and reach our full potential while enjoying the journey.
Talk about Princeton's culture and how is it different than other companies that you worked for?
I feel that Princeton's culture is, if there's a problem, bring it to light. Like, everybody wants to hear about the problem. I've never felt that way at a mortgage company before, ever. In 31 years, I've never felt any company said, hey, first of all, hey, we know we have problems. We don't have problems. We're perfect. Everything's wonderful. You're the problem. There's not any problems here. Let's close our eyes to the problem. And then went one step further and said, not only do we want to hear about the problems, we want to make them better. So we want you to bring up problems. I've never felt that way in 31 years. And I've worked at a variety of lenders. So I think we're definitely different in that regard.
The transparency of everything from the CEO down, talking about how the company is doing, just like the way everybody works together. I agree with you. I think that's something about Princeton culture that is so unique and different.
Exactly. People, that is one of the most freeing things here. You're absolutely right. Is you can really sit there and go, hey, I need help. I messed up. I made a mistake. I just emailed Dave in Genius Bar yesterday and was like, I made a huge mistake. I missed this. What do I do now? Who can help me? You're not trying to ever cover anything. You can be radically transparent, super honest, and people are there, okay, it's all right. Don't worry. We'll help you. So you don't feel as though you're getting beat up by anything, which just makes you more willing to want to admit, I don't know how to do this, but I want to learn. Can somebody help me? It makes you more willing to help other people.
And that's going to kind of like tie me into like the effortless mortgage, right? So the effortless mortgage is something that like Rich and like the leadership team came up with in 2018, this like radical idea of, and the Princeton Promise, and kind of like tying that in. How, hey, if there's anything that goes wrong, you get $1,000 back. Like, how do you feel about the effortless mortgage and the Princeton Promise?
I think that it's awesome. It certainly opens the door to referral partners by saying, hey, look, other people say they're good. We put our money where our mouth is. So if your client isn't happy for any reason, we're going to give them $1,000. I mean, when you think of yourself, well, human nature, people are, of course, going to take advantage of that. It's the exact opposite. They don't, because we're saying, if you're not happy, we want to make it right. So they give us the opportunity during the process to say, hey, I wasn't happy about this, or hey, this didn't go exactly as expected, and we can fix it. So that's all they really want. Nobody wants $1,000. They just want their problem solved, and they want to be heard and acknowledged that you're right, there was a problem, we messed up, we're sorry. They're good with that, I think. For the very most part, I've never had clients who weren't. I mean, I think so many other companies in this industry blame the client. No, it's your fault you didn't do this, or it's your fault you didn't do that. We're the professionals. We need to lead them and tell them and explain to them why it's important, why we need it, that we're working together as a team, and they need to participate in the heavy lifting. And I think clients understand that. If you just talk to them honestly and don't try and make things be smoke and mirrors, they get it.
Exactly. And now I'm going to bring this back a little bit to a story that you kind of told me, kind of like helping someone to get a loan and approved in like a situation. Do you have any like effortless customer story? And it would like kind of like what you talked about, how you kind of, and I don't know the logistics of it, but like it was hard to get a loan and you helped them get a loan. Has there any stories through the course of your career that you can talk to?
I try to approach every single client as an individual. So what I'm going to say to them is, tell me what you think you want to do. I'm then going to be obligated to give you that option and also give you a couple other options I think also might work for your situation. Now, you ultimately get to choose which option you want, but because you don't do this every day for a living, there might be options that you don't even know about. And if you did know about them, you would choose them. So oftentimes it's simply a matter of educating them on how to utilize a home loan to increase their wealth. So especially in times like this, where money is so cheap to borrow, it doesn't oftentimes make a lot of fiscal sense to put a huge amount of money into your loan, when in fact you could be paying off credit card debt, a car loan, other loans with that money that is at a higher interest rate. So I did a refinance for someone and they happened to call me and I said, tell me your big lifetime lofty goals. Because that's what I like to know about somebody, because I want to help them get there. That's my purpose in life, is helping people get where they want to get, adding value and bringing things to them of value. So she said, well, I want to retire in 10 years. I said, okay, great. She said, I want to retire debt-free in 10 years. I said, okay, great. We went on with the conversation and she said, 6.5 years would be really great, but I know you can't do that. And I said, okay. So I like puzzles. And like I said, I'm a huge math geek. So I looked at her refinance and she had a decent amount of equity in her home. We restructured her loan to be a 15-year loan, taking cash out, paying off a car loan, paying off 3 credit cards. Okay. Did it as a 15-year refi from the 30. She then was saving $862 a month by paying off the car loan and the credit cards. Take that $862, put it back into the loan every month. She had her loan paid off in 6 years and 6 months. So I missed it by a month, and not only was she going to have her home loan paid off in 6 years and 6 months, but remember, she wanted to be debt-free. She paid off her car and the 3 credit cards. So as long as she doesn't go out and get a new credit card or new car loans, she will be debt-free in 6.5 years just by restructuring her thought process.
That is awesome. One thing you said kind of like during that was using a home loan to help them increase their wealth. Does that inspire you? Like those stories,
Always,
did they inspire you?
every day. I am beyond enthusiastic about what I do. I love it. When it comes to work-life balance, it's not hard because if you're living your purpose, that's your work-life balance, right? My kids know if they need me, I'm there. Doesn't matter when it is or where it is. And clients understand that. I've never run into that as any kind of an issue to try and get around or get over. But how cool is it to be able, it would be really cool to be like a heart surgeon and save people's lives, or a brain surgeon or something like that, or cure cancer. I'm not any of those things, and I know it. But it's so cool to be able to positively impact people's lives, peace of mind, financial security, knowing full well that they've got it under control. They can sleep at night. They don't have to worry. And being able to find solutions for those problems, great. Math is cool.
It really, so I guess that's another question too. Have you always been interested in math?
I've always been great at math. I was one of those little kids who, and keep in mind, I'm significantly older than you guys, but when I was little, they used to have, my math teacher in second grade used to have math quizzes. So she'd write a question on the board and then she'd pull down the screen, right? So nobody could see the question. You'd have 2 lines lined up. You'd have to run to the board and answer the question as quick as you could. I was always champion of that in life. So.
I love that. One thing that you did mention, I do want to talk about, because I'm an artist myself. You said you were interested in like art. Talk a little bit about that.
Thanks. Well, when I was a little kid, I guess I was probably, I guess I should say I was very entrepreneurial. I would paint pictures and draw pictures, and keep in mind I was 5, and I would construct an art show in our family room at home. So I'm an only child. So it was my mom, my dad, and my uncle would come over, and I'd have an art show. So I'd have prices on every painting. And if, say, my mom bought 3 paintings and it was $3, I'd say, wow, really disappointed it's not $5. So I was selling back then and making them feel guilty. Or I'd say, oh, Mom, but I painted this one especially for you. I thought for sure you'd buy this one. Oh, I'm so disappointed. And she'd end up buying it. I just liked art just for fun, as a hobby. You know, when my daughter was 5, I painted a mural of undersea and this sea life on her bedroom wall. And there was like a mama manatee and a baby manatee and a mama dolphin and a baby dolphin and everything. And they still talk about that, actually.
I will say 5-year-old Lisa could definitely teach me some lessons. So I guess, do you still paint and everything like that? Like, is that a part of what you do?
Not really. Every now and then I'll sketch or doodle, especially if I'm on the phone with clients. You know, I'll doodle like Effortless or doodle that kind of thing. But not as much as, now it's more about like actually painting with a roller walls.
Princeton Mortgage is growing, and we are looking to add motivated individuals in various areas of the company throughout the United States. If you are a mortgage professional looking to advance your career with a company featured in Inc. 5000, Housing Wire, and many other awards and publications, check out our careers page at careers.princetonmortgage.com.
So I guess what would you say is your biggest success since you've been in Princeton Mortgage, and kind of what do you attest that to?
I would say my biggest success at Princeton was being free to the culture. After 31 years of being trained, so to speak, that you don't talk about problems, you don't bring things to the surface, you don't make suggestions. I think truly the first 6 months here were really difficult for me to get through that. And, you know, Mark had several candid conversations with me, as had Dave, saying, if there's a problem, speak up, talk about it. And I never wanted to be that girl, not realizing that Princeton fully welcomes that girl. So after getting a few shout outs from Mark about bringing something to the surface and you guys in Princeton actually fixing it and saying, hey, now everybody's better off, I started becoming much more outspoken. So I guess my biggest achievement was getting over myself.
That's great. Yeah, and then you kind of touched on this before, a little bit of work-life balance, but Mark had mentioned before, and I wasn't aware of this myself, that this is sort of a male-dominated industry. What is it like being a woman in this field?
I think it's easy. I think this is an excellence-dominated industry. I don't think gender matters one bit. I think if you're really great at what you do, you're really passionate about it, gender doesn't play in. There might be, you know, when you do stats and everything, maybe CEOs and things are oftentimes male versus female. I don't know if that's necessarily by choice or by design, but I think this industry truly, especially now and what we're going to deal with on a go forward, I think it's really an excellence-driven industry. And when challenges come around, the excellent are going to stick around and rise to the top. I think a lot of people are getting in this industry right now because they think it's an easy industry to get in and they think that it's simple. And they're going to realize that there's challenges and hurdles and things that you have to learn. It's not just about going out and shaking hands and kissing babies. There's a lot more on the back end of it that you need to be aware of.
Yeah,
so
great.
I would say that being a woman has never stopped me from anything I've ever wanted to do.
And then I guess, what are you most excited about for not only the industry future, but the company as well?
I think Princeton's bringing on and has significant talent. I'm completely excited that the commitment and the mission from the time I started, which wasn't that long ago, but it hasn't diminished at all. So it's not, I'm really excited that Princeton is truly committed, and they're not a company who wants to play the, oh no, here's a new shiny penny game. No, we're going to do this and that's going to fix everything. I think Princeton understands and is committed to their direction. They want to be the best. They're hiring, recruiting, and coaching up everyone to be that person. I think it's just a huge recipe to distinguish us from other lenders out there. My clients don't feel like they're a file number. Quite frankly, I wouldn't know their file number. I'd have to look it up in Encompass. I have no idea what their file number is. They're Tom and Betty, or Frank and Jeff. They're not file numbers,
So based off of that, I love how you said it's like an excellence-driven industry, and how there's a new wave of like loan officers coming in because, they see it's like a thriving industry right now. Refinance is going like crazy and all that. What's one tip that you could give to a brand new loan officer in this like space?
Always tell the truth, because you won't have to remember anything. Just tell the truth. If you don't know something, fully admit you don't know, but you'll get back to them. Don't ever mislead anybody. Be trustworthy. You're asking someone to trust you with their biggest financial decision. You need to be that person. And you don't have to know everything. I've been doing this 31 years. There's things I still learn every single day and things I didn't know. That's okay. If you stop learning, you stop growing, and you might as well die. So that's okay to not know everything, but just don't compromise your integrity. Decide who you want to be and be it. There's going to be enough people who want to do business with you your way that you don't have to worry about being all things to all people.
Is there anything else that you would want to like talk about, something that we missed or anything like that on the podcast?
No, I think it was fun. It was a blast, actually.
It was. I asked Mark before this, and I was like curious. I was like, oh, how do you think Lisa's going to be? And he's like, oh, don't even worry about it. She's going to kill it. And yeah. I was right. My gut was right.
I'd never mind talking about this industry. I think it's a fantastic industry. I think people, to me, this is the best job in the whole world, ever. You're helping people buy homes or save money, or hopefully do both. You're helping them position themselves for financial security. You can make your own hours. You can do as much business as you want or as little. There's no income cap. How can it be? There's no heavy lifting. You're cool in the summer, warm in the winter. I mean, you just can't get better than that, I mean, you just can't. It's the best job in the world. It really is. There's nothing better.
Sign me up.
I know. I was going to say, I think you're making me rethink my life right now.
It really, really is. I mean, if you truly have a passion for people and you can do simple math, I mean, it's not complex. It's super simple math. You don't have to do calculus. It's really the best job in the world. It truly is. Every day I am blessed to be able to do what I do.
Thank you. This has been an awesome
This really has been good. Thank you, guys. It's been fun.
I may be using you like a couple more times maybe in the future, just for like the wisdom, expertise, and all that you have.
Well, thanks. Being an old dog, you hang on long enough and some cool stuff happens.
There we go. And Marissa, do you want to like finish with the tagline?
So each episode we're kind of ending with a tagline we've come up with. So if you could look into the camera and say, I'm Lisa Sullivan and I'm on the journey to 50,000 loans.
I'm Lisa Sullivan and I'm on the journey to 50,000 loans.